The following program is a Creative Magic Network production. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in, and today it is my co-host Frankie Picasso and I on the Frankie Sense and More show. It is about living, learning, loving, and laughing right out loud. So let's get to it right now.
Shall we begin?
Why not? Welcome to Frankie Sense and More. It's like she's got a whole lot of goodness for you with a little bit of sass.
Frankie, did you just say...
She sure did. Not to mention, along with...
Whoops.
Join us now as Frankie Picasso and her new co-host mix it up with authors, musicians, and interviews with world-changing people.
Let's begin, pal.
Okay, let's begin now, because it only makes sense.
And hello there, and welcome to Frankie Sense and More. I am your host, Frankie Picasso, and my co-host, Fred Byes here. How do you say
hello.
Hey?
How are you? Hey. Oh, yeah. Okay, the Canadian thing. Yeah, okay. I'm sorry. I didn't get it.
What did you say?
Never mind.
Yeah. Ryan Charnoff is also with us. He's going to be coming up in a minute or two. But first, we have to hear our good news story from Fred. Please take it away.
Yeah, so today it's global goal number 3, and it's health and well-being. And I want you guys to meet the tattoo artist making the breast cancer survivors feel whole. That's right. His name is Vinnie Myers, and he's known for his tattoo artistry, but now he's a legend in breast cancer circles for what has become his exclusive specialty, inking areolas and nipples so realistic they seem like genuine articles. And, get this, it's very important because about 231,800 women this year will be diagnosed with breast cancer, and a portion of them will end up having mastectomies. And women who undergo breast reconstruction often get permanent coloring applied to where the nipples would be, but they have long complained that the flat off-color results are unrealistic. So, Vinnie combines shadowing and highlighting techniques in the right variations of color, and Myers creates the illusion of protrusions from flat surfaces. So he's a genius in his field, really.
Wow. Does he say how much he charges?
Yeah, around $600.
Okay.
For the I have it. I don't have it in front of me. I think it's around $600 if I'm not mistaken. And he's really a laid-back dude, apparently, a real laid-back guy, and he's just apparently just a smooth guy.
That's fantastic. Yeah. I mean, everybody wants to feel like they have their breasts. And coming on Monday, one of the authors from my new book, ibaredmychest.com, talking about bare chest, we're doing a video, and Diane Lang, one of the authors who had a mastectomy, she actually bares her chest in a video to show everybody. And so it's pretty prophetic and interesting that, today we chose Vinnie Myers as our kind of good news story, doing what he's doing. I think that'd be fantastic. And
right.
These guys are amazing, these tattoo. And I love that tattoo artists who actually do, Vinnie does the nipples and stuff, but I love when they do really beautiful artwork across the chest so you don't even, realize that anything's gone. It's so cool.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's so cool. Wow. Thank you for that, Fred. I really appreciate that. Global goal number 3. And, longtime listeners, new listeners, we try to have a story that we align with the United Nations global goals every week. And we support them. And this is the Year of the Woman, so it's a perfect story for today. Let's welcome our guest, Ryan Charnoff. He is a socialpreneur, my favorite kind of entrepreneur, and he is the co-founder of Giftfluence, a technology startup whose platform enables charities to raise money through online shopping and searching. Ryan's responsible for developing the cause marketing opportunities between major brands and the over 800,000 nonprofits who are always looking for funding. Let's welcome Ryan, and we can find out more about him and what he does from the horse himself.
Hi, thank you guys for having me.
The horse's mouth.
Yeah, the horse's mouth. Hi, Ryan. It's so great to have you, and I'm really just so happy to meet you. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys for having me. I'm excited.
This is a really great opportunity, and it's a really great idea. Now, you took entrepreneurship in university, I think, and you've done a lot of things around nonprofits with MoneyThink and Junior Achievement. What is it about Gifluence that, like, where did the idea come from? How did it come up? What made you go there?
It was a long time coming, to be honest. So I always knew I wanted to do something entrepreneurial. And at the time, out of school, I was doing consulting. But I kind of envisioned myself as being, more of an entrepreneur. But I knew in order for me to actually leave my day job, I would have to do something I was really passionate about. So this started more actually as a side project than as a full-time business. Around a year ago, I was running a half marathon in support of a local charity, and they set us up with a traditional crowdfunding page. So they asked us to send out to our friends and family members and social media, our page and ask for support. And that was all, fine and well, but I noticed that there were a lot of people around my age who were just out of school who, would like it on social media or would comment on it, but wouldn't necessarily be able to give back. So I started, asking some of my friends, why that was. And I realized that a lot of people just out of school, due to, student debt or other financial restrictions, just don't have the ability to give back, even though they want to. So it really started more as kind of a side project, trying to see if I could get online retailers to donate a portion of their sales to charity through the holiday season of 2015. And as we kind of tested out that platform and got our friends and family using it, it actually grew into something a lot bigger.
So you can shop at your favorite stores. You can go to Nordstrom's or Patagonia or Payless or Walmart or Bloomie's, and you can shop online. And by doing that, and at the same time you're doing that, you get to choose the charity of your choice. So let's say I was to choose Mercy Ships because I do paint. I'm an artist and I paint for Mercy Ships and I paint for surgery. So let's say I was going to choose that. It's my charity. So I would choose Mercy Ships Canada, and then I would go shopping at Nordstrom's and purchase whatever it is that I want. And approximately, and I guess all of these people have a little different percentage that they give, but let's say on average 6% is given to the charity of your choice. Is that correct? Is that how it works?
Correct. Yeah. It's on average it's 6%, and it differs by each retailer.
And then when we search for items through your search engine, they also donate 1 cent.
Sure. So our search engine, you can actually not just search for items, but you can really search for anything. So that's a partnership with Yahoo. It allows you to search the internet the same way you would Google or Yahoo or a typical search engine. And anytime that you search online, a portion of the advertising revenue is donated to your favorite charity.
Oh,
so
wow.
You would have a toolbar that we could download, and they'd start your search from that toolbar, and it would automatically donate that money when I search?
Yeah, so on Google Chrome, you can set it as your automatic search engine for your toolbar. So anything that you type in to the top bar on Chrome will automatically run through our search engine. On other internet platforms, you could either set it as your home page or go directly through our search engine by bookmarking it.
And so does it matter how many times a day I search, or was it once a day they'll donate?
No, so it's based on, it's not based on kind of a daily restriction. The advertising revenue is generated on a per search basis. So that means every time you search, it will lead to a donation.
Wow.
That being said, there's safeguards in place to make sure that you aren't just typing things that aren't relevant, or that you're just kind of abusing the system. So you use it like you would a normal search engine.
What is the app? Because you mentioned in Chrome. What is the app for people out there?
So it's called Gifluence.com/search. So if you go to our website, you just click on the search button, and it automatically you can search from there. You can also we have instructions on our website as to how you can set it as your custom search engine on your Google Chrome platform.
Okay.
I love that. And you have a goal that you want to be able to donate $1 million to charities in 2016. And I also have that goal. We should talk after.
Yeah, definitely.
But you've got over 70 retailers signed up. Now, how did you go about getting those retailers? What made it interesting to them to give money?
Yeah, this has been actually a really eye-opening experience for me, because when we first started it, I was really just trying to get, my foot in the door and learn more informationally from some of these retailers about whether they'd be interested in this. But it actually happened really quickly. So I would, meet with retailers or send them emails. And from their perspective, not only is it kind of a cheaper way to market, because instead of, paying per click or, paying for, ad impressions that might not lead to a sale, you're only paying on a, per sale basis. But it's also a way to kind of do good in the community and improve their brand. So we've actually been surprised that a lot of retailers already have things like this built into their budget. Sometimes not even for the, corporate social responsibility side, just, for the kind of marketing.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely got to be cheaper for them than just people hitting and going, I don't know if I want something. You're actually getting a sale. So that's pretty impressive. And interesting that, you got your foot right in the door and they welcomed you with open arms. That's fantastic. Good for you.
Yeah, I think we've been really surprised by how great a lot of our corporate partners have been. So that's been something that we've learned and something we've been really excited about, how kind of quickly they'll sign up and how willing they are to give a percentage of their revenue to these great organizations.
Now, you say that, because I do have Amazon Smile, and I thought, wow, that's pretty fun. I like that. But you say that you actually give 12 times more than Amazon Smile.
Yeah, so Amazon Smile, which is a great program and does a lot of good, they give 0.5% to charity. So in order to give $1, you have to spend $200 on their site. Since we work directly with the retailers, we actually give an average of 6%. So your average purchase is going to make 12 times the impact than you would spending on Amazon Smile.
I like that.
I like that.
Do you shop a lot online, Fred?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, now more than ever. Yeah, of course.
I shop only online.
Really? Do you?
Yeah.
No, I don't always shop. Yeah, I go to local stores.
Well, I grocery shop at local stores, but I hate shopping in the stores. I just love to sit at my computer and I can watch TV with my iPad and I go click, click, click. Like I just sent a crib out to, our son. They're having a baby next week, and just send that off to Alberta, and I'll send this here and I'll send that there, and it's great that with Ryan saying, but we're going to commercial, so we'll be right back. If you have any questions, speak about them, and then you can let us know when we get back.
Heck no, we're just getting warmed up. Frankie Sense and More will be right back after we pay the bills.
If you could live your life truly standing in a place of peace, joy, and abundance, wouldn't that make your heart soar? Now you can, with Lessons in Joyful Living, with your host, Kimberly Rinaldi, Mondays at noon Central. Kimberly Rinaldi, having created a highly successful coaching practice, now teaches Lessons in Joyful Living. She believes in empowering others and that through it, you have the ability to break through any and all barriers, thus allowing you to reach your greatest potential and joyfully step into your life's purpose. What used to take weeks, months, or even years, she can now teach you in a matter of hours with her programs. For more on Kim and her show, go to her website, KimberlyRinaldi.com. That's RINALDI.com. Then join us for Lessons in Joyful Living with your host, Kimberly Rinaldi.
It's the Fitness Minute with fitness expert Annette Hammond.
Back pain can really be a bother. Men's Health magazine states that 80% of all men suffer from back pain. One of the best things you can do to ward off lower back problems is strengthen your abdominal muscles. 75% of all lower back problems can be prevented by building your ab muscles. When your abs are weak, the muscles in your buttocks and the back of your legs, your hamstrings, have to work harder to keep your spine stable. One of the easiest abdominal exercises is crunches. Keep your low back on the floor at all times. Squeeze your abdominals as you crunch up and lower slowly in a controlled manner. You can do several sets of crunches every day to strengthen your abs and beat back pain. For the Fitness Minute, I'm Annette Hammond. To hear other fitness and weight loss tips, visit our website at AnnetteHammond.com.
Welcome back.
Welcome back, and thanks for coming back. If you want to join the conversation, 903-787-5883. Again, 903-787-5883. We'd love for you to give us a shout. I am your host, Frankie Picasso. My co-host, Fred Bai, is here, and we have Ryan Charnoff, who is a socialpreneur, co-founder of Giftfluence. Ryan,
I got to ask you this, Ryan. Ask this. What is a socialpreneur versus an entrepreneur?
Yeah, so
you should know that.
a socialpreneur is really an entrepreneur who creates businesses with a social component to it.
So like the good radio.
Exactly. So instead of just trying to maximize profits, you're trying to maximize profits while also maximizing the good that you do in the world.
So basically, you're like a positively oriented business, like
your social impact.
Yeah, social impact.
So part of your proceeds go to donating and making things better in the world.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Those corporate responsibility officers that you were writing to, those are companies that have social impact. They're socialpreneurs. And that's, the world needs more socialpreneurs for sure.
Well, you ask any business, they'll say that they enhance the world in some way. You ask Walmart, they'll say, well, we enhance the world in some way.
No.
Well, no, but I'm sure if you ask them, you know what I mean? Like, because they provide jobs, they sell things at a lower price. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what you mean, but this is specifically you're going to give money to a charity or like a Tom Shoes or, somebody who has a specific program to, bore water holes in Borneo or something like that.
Did you read the book Social Capitalists, Ryan?
I have not read that yet. That's on my list, though. I've got a list of books that I'm trying to get through when I have time. Okay.
All right. Hey, what's been the most challenging thing, Ryan, in building this? Because, it's like building a business. So I'm sure you have a lot of challenges doing that.
Yeah, I think I was surprised coming into this. We wrote this business plan, and we thought that the hard part was going to be getting retailers on board, and the easy part would be getting the word out there, getting charities to promote it. And in reality, the two have kind of flipped. Yeah. So we kind of achieved our goals on the retailer side in terms of getting the retailers that we wanted and the critical mass of retailers a lot quicker than we thought. But getting the charities to actually promote it and push it out and create communications with their followers has been a little more of a challenge than we might have anticipated.
Yeah, the charities are, cash poor and volunteer poor. I think it makes it difficult for them, and there's not the skill level that you would expect necessarily to do the marketing, and that's why a lot of the smaller ones suffer. And that's my goal, is to get them on this show too, to try to get their name out there and do that. Have you met Carol Lung from Great Positive?
I have not.
Okay, yet. Look her up. Great Positive. Anyway, I wanted to ask you though, but you are a co-founder. So who is your partner? We haven't heard about them.
Yeah, so my partner is Mohammed Abouawad. He was actually a high school friend of mine, and he originally handled some of the kind of technological sides to it as we were trying to kind of get up and running. And now, although I'm a full-time employee, he works on it part-time, doing some of the kind of finances and the behind-the-scenes things that help us operate smoothly.
We all have our favorite charities. I think for Frankie, it's animals.
Yeah.
You can't handle animal cruelty.
Yeah.
For me, I think it's more maybe poverty or something. What's your favorite, Ryan? What's your favorite charity? What's your favorite cause?
Yeah, it's hard to pick just one. But I think an area that I've always cared about a lot is education and specifically financial literacy. So when I was in college, I did a lot of work with a group called MoneyThink, and I was so surprised how much of an impact it can make to teach students, starting anywhere from elementary school through high school, the importance of saving and going to college and kind of preparing themselves for the college process. It's amazing the impact that you can have.
What did you see? What did you see that people didn't have? You know what I mean? Like how ignorant, you know what I mean? Like what did you see that shocked you, that had an impact on you? It's like, oh my God,
A lot of people don't know this.
Yeah, I think the most surprising thing, I guess the two most surprising things would be, one is there's so many kind of scholarships and opportunities available that go unused. So it's amazing how many schools are looking to, recruit a diverse group of students and have scholarships available for students, and the students either, don't know about them or don't apply. So I was just kind of surprised by that disconnect.
Yeah, I was surprised about that too. I mean, there's hundreds of scholarships that people, it's like you have a cousin with one arm, you can get money. I mean, like it's really that's silly, but people do put up money for stuff like that. And if you go through a list of that, you can find that. But of course, you can go to college, university in Europe for free, which is beautiful. And now in Canada, this year, this is the first year now they're allowing students to go, and they're going to forgive those student loans. And yet, all the kids that went before them, I have one kid who's still paying off a $35,000, loan for school. And, you're starting at 23 or 24 years old, your life with this big, huge debt on your back.
Yeah, it's amazing. It actually kind of leads me into the second thing that I thought was interesting, which is so many students who have not grown up in environments where family members or friends or colleagues go to college just are way behind kind of the eight ball and are at a huge disadvantage when it comes to not just figuring out the application process and navigating kind of that whole process, but also figuring out how to pay for college, how to succeed in college. You're really at a disadvantage if you kind of are going to college without thinking of what you're majoring in, how you're going to pay for it. You don't necessarily have to have your whole life set in front of you, but just some simple kind of planning that you can do and really kind of figuring out what it is that you're interested in can make a big difference, and can make a difference between someone having a successful time in college and not, just by kind of knowing what they're going for and what they're interested in.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, what you mentioned financial literacy. Mm-hmm. How do you educate yourself on financial literacy, and what do you think that people should know about it? Because I just feel like the general advice out there is not the best advice. You know what I mean? Like, you kind of have to dig deeper a little bit when you get that advice. You understand my question? Or?
Yeah, absolutely. It's really tough because one of the things that we've found, and that actually research papers have kind of supported, is that financial literacy is so different than any other type of kind of class. And what I mean by that is, if you are taking a history class and you pass the history exam, you can demonstrate that you know what happened in the past, and that's kind of shows that you understand the information. In financial literacy, there's a big kind of disconnect between people understanding, the difference between interest rates and taking on credit and debt, and the actions that they make. So what's difficult is even when you kind of educate people on the issues with taking out, credit cards with high interest rates or loans and that type of thing, they still tend to make decisions that are not necessarily in their financial best interest. But kind of back to your question, I think to simply put it, the easiest thing to do is to kind of take away the stigma that a lot of people have when you start talking about finances. And what I mean by that is, you go into a high school classroom and you say, I'm here to talk about financial literacy, and people's eyes just kind of roll. They tune you out and they think, I'm not a finance person, so this isn't applicable to me.
Or I don't have money.
Right, exactly.
Their brains gets blurry. Like their brains get
because it sounds like math.
Right, exactly. It sounds like either math or something that's not applicable to you, and it doesn't. You lose people very quickly.
Yeah.
And it shocks me that our school system doesn't really have real financial education. Back when I was 11, I remember this bank came into the school, and we had our first account. But that's like, to me, that's just grooming for future clients. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah.
It's not financial education.
We had a discussion on the weekend with one of the kids, and he says, I'm never going to have a credit card. I don't want any debt. I'm not going to, just going to buy everything with cash. And, can you go through life without a credit card?
Well, you need to build a credit.
You need to. Well, do you need to build credit? Do you?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the question. Do you?
Well, yeah. If you want to buy a house or get a mortgage.
What if you put $100,000 down on your house?
Okay.
Do you need a credit
card?
You
can pay it back. No, you can pay cash. Okay, pay cash.
I mean, I think that you do need a credit card. Just you don't have to use your credit card.
Oh, yeah. You don't.
You could use one. But at the same time, I think I understand where he's coming from. He doesn't want to ever have debt. But my husband's never paid interest on a credit card ever. So I mean, I think you can do both things, but it's the understanding of how the world works and finances is kind of interesting. But I want to go back to Giftfluence because that's why Ryan's here. I want to ask you, Ryan, do you have a demographic?
Yeah, so really, anyone who's shopping or searching online can use our platform. That being said, the two kind of demographics that have been most successful or that have used it the most, the first are, millennials, kind of college age or just out of college students. And the reason for that is because just with being, technologically savvy and kind of willing to try new things and socially conscious, they buy a lot of things online and they really expect retailers to, give back as they're doing so. So that's been a really great demographic for us. The other has been kind of the generation above that. So a lot of parents, especially parents with students who might be in college or who might live in another city or state, who are kind of the decision makers in the household because they tend to do a lot of the purchasing, and they also tend to kind of be sending gifts and holiday shopping and all of that. So those are the two demographics that we've seen being the most kind of successful in our.
Let me ask you this: millennials often perceived as narcissistic, social media addicted, selfies addicted people.
That's selfie addicted.
Are millennials giving? I mean, what do you see? What are you seeing?
Yeah, so what we're seeing is, obviously there's a lot of different opinions on, how millennials operate and what they are. But what we're seeing is millennials really kind of demand that the retailers they shop for have a social side. So we're seeing a lot of people who are, excited about giving back, who want to make a difference, and who use some of those things like social media to actually, let it be known that they're making a difference. So for us, it's all been a positive in terms of millennials.
We're going to a commercial break. We're going to come right back, and when we get back, they already took us off.
We'll be right back after we pay the bills.
It's the Fitness Minute with fitness expert Annette Hammond.
Did you wake up on the wrong side of the bed? Does your attitude need a lift? Does your mood need a boost? Well then, it's time for a good workout. Exercise is a remedy for a bad mood, like aspirin is for a headache. Weight Watchers reports that exercise decreases the body's levels of cortisol, which is the stress hormone, and contributes to depression. The endorphins that you produce when you exercise can lift your spirits and put you in a good mood. Exercise can act as an antidepressant drug because it produces feel-good neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin. Let the benefits of exercise give you a lift and put you in a good mood. I think it's safe to say we all would appreciate it. I'm Annette Hammond. To hear more fitness and weight loss tips, visit our website at AnnetteHammond.com.
It's Marching and
Have you ever found yourself on an airplane seated next to a nonstop talker that you really don't have anything at all in common with? When I fly, I usually want to catch up on my reading and not have to listen to an expladorator. It's even worse if they're a philodox. That's a person who just loves their own opinion. Well, now a Facebook app lets you choose your own seatmate before you fly. According to an article in USA Today, social media startups are bringing together compatible flyers before they take their seats. That's good news for people lovers, otherwise known as philodemics. A number of apps such as Planely and Satisfly are helping travelers meet not only online, but in person. Think the Match.com of travel. I love flying and have been to almost as many places as my luggage.
It's Marching and
I'm Carolyn Davidson, and you can have fun challenging your words you never heard vocabulary with my free app, Too Funny for Words.
We're coming back. And we're back. It's Frankie Sense and More. I am your host, Frankie Picasso. We're here with Fred Bai. We're here with Ryan Charnoff, who is the co-founder for Gifluence, and Brent Marchant is with us as well, the Good Radio Network's movie correspondent. And just before we get to Brent, I have a couple more questions for Ryan about Gifluence, and they kind of go hand in hand in a way, Ryan. Mm-hmm. One is, was there a surprise as far as a charity that more people pick more often than others for you?
I don't know that there's necessarily a surprise with that. We have had a few charities that have done a really good job of promoting it with, their own followers. So here in Chicago, there's an organization called Citizens United for Research in Epilepsy, mm-hmm. and they have been with us since the beginning. So last year, right before the holiday season, they tweeted out a link and made a Facebook message, and within a week, they earned, I think it was about $150 in a week just from holiday shopping. So that really kind of, shocked me and let me know the impact of kind of what just a few smart, messages can do.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And what about stores? Were there stores that people maybe maybe you wouldn't know who they shopped with before, but more people tend to gravitate to since they're on your site? Is there any surprises there?
I don't know if it's been extremely surprising, but the most popular stores have been Macy's and Nordstrom for kind of traditional retail. Mm-hmm. For kind of other aspects of retail, there's been a lot of Groupon purchases.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Yeah, which makes sense, but that's actually been a very cool thing because not only are we helping give back, we're also helping kind of our users save money.
So what is your I guess, usership up to? Do you know around?
Yeah, it varies,
mm-hmm.
but it's in the kind of low thousands right now.
Okay.
So we have a few thousand shoppers, and hopefully through the holiday season we'll grow that number even more.
Yeah.
And which states are the most giving?
Yeah. We'll see. So I'm originally from Texas, so a lot of my supporters have been from Texas because it's been a lot of friends and family. We're based in Chicago, so we've had a lot of Chicago and Illinois residents. But right now, those have been kind of the two big ones. We've had a good amount come from California as well, but it's pretty spread out nationally besides that.
And are there...
Fred, I got to bring Brent on for a second.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Thank you. So speaking of Chicago, our resident, the Good Radio Network's movie correspondent, Brent Marchant, is with us. And he is with us for a special show because we have a little more time for him. So we are going to be talking about anesthesia. We're going to be talking about The Teacher, which is, I think, a Ukrainian movie. And Brent, help me out here. What's the other one we're going to talk about?
We got a whole bunch to talk about. There's some new releases.
Where's our Brent? Did we lose Brent again, Karina? Hang on here a second. He's coming. He's coming. Ask your question.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say...
keep talking. She says, okay, go ahead.
I was just going to say, are nonprofits held back in ways that for-profits are not?
Yeah, to an extent they are. So one of the kind of difficulties that nonprofits face is, marketing. So a for-profit can kind of take on more of an investment and can really invest time and resources into areas that nonprofits either can't or don't want to because it looks bad to be spending a lot of money on maybe an investment that a for-profit would. So there's some ways that nonprofits are held back, but we're always trying to create new and exciting ways for them to get the most out of their limited resources.
Thank you. Brent's with us. Brent, hi.
Hey, how are you?
You're supposed to be with us. I have never had this problem with Brent before. He's on a phone. He's not on Skype. What happened, Karina? Where is he? I think he's with us. She said, Brent Marchant. Où êtes-vous?
I'm here.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So.
Well, he may be. Are you on mute?
Hello?
There
he is.
Yes, hi.
Hey. Technical glitches
Hi,
there.
Brent. How are you?
Hello. Good, how are you? Thanks for having me back on the show.
Oh, it's
Fabulous.
our pleasure. Good to see you. Good to hear from you, I should say. We have our guest here is Ryan Charnoff. I don't know if you've been listening and heard him, but he is also from Chicago and interested to hear about the film festival that you're going to tell us about later today. But let's start with the movies that you have for us this week.
Well, currently playing in theaters right now, one of the movies that's probably one of the more important releases of the award season is The Birth of a Nation. This is a movie that's received a lot of pre-release buzz because it's been considered a pretty strong contender for some of the major awards coming up this year. It's a retelling of the story of the Nat Turner slave rebellion from the 1830s, and it's really quite powerful in terms of explaining how it came about. And it's a parable also, I think, for today in many ways, given the current polarization in society, not just from the racial standpoint, but also from anybody who's at polar ends of the spectrum today, whether you're talking politically or economically or so forth. When people get pushed to the point where they're in a corner and feel they don't have any way to combat their circumstances, they start fighting back, and the results of that can be pretty devastating. So it's something that, it's a cautionary tale, I think, in many ways for us these days, in addition to, giving us this historical recreation of the events.
And great acting in that movie.
It really was. I mean, Nate Parker, who wrote, directed, and starred in the movie, was an absolute revelation in my book because a lot of the things that he's done prior to this, it was really a case where, the movies he had been in were showcasing his physique more than his talent. In this case, this has really given him an opportunity to break out and show what he's capable of, and I was just amazed at seeing how much he poured into the part from so many different angles and did all of them so well as he did.
I agree. Great movie. What's next?
Another one that I have seen recently is a movie called Denial, which is based on a true story of a professor, Deborah Lipscott, who wrote a book about Holocaust denial. And in the course of writing the book, she ended up taking on some of her critics, including a professor who claimed that the Holocaust never occurred. And she ended up being sued by him because she claimed that he defamed him. And he brought the case, interestingly enough, in the English courts, where the standard for libel is different than it is in the U.S. In the U.S., the onus of the proof is on the plaintiff, but in the courts of England, the onus is on the defendant to defend themselves. So she was essentially having to defend the fact that the Holocaust took place, and
hard to believe that you have to defend that.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, and the thing that was, when he was presenting his case in terms of trying to say how it didn't happen, the contentions that he made were just so utterly ludicrous that it's hard to believe that anybody would have taken him seriously. But, he did have his supporters. He had people from the skinhead community and so forth who saw him as a tool of their political agenda. And as a result, he was getting a fair amount of backing from fringe groups. The whole thing was a huge firestorm. She ended up having to go to court, and in terms of the way the case played out, it was really more a case of using forensics rather than emotion to have to show, how to make her case.
Yeah.
Which,
was... What's the underlying theme in that movie? Is it freedom, love?
Well, I would say it's truth more than anything else. I mean, you're as one of the as the judge in the case ruled, you're free to believe anything you want to believe, but when you've got the facts stacked against you, you have to go with what is literally plain, evident, and true, and you can't sue somebody else on the basis just because you disagree with them.
Right. How would you describe main characters? Like, are they ordinary people like you and I? I mean, how would you describe them?
Well, Rachel Weisz. Married to James Bond.
The main character, the author who was being sued, she was a university professor. She came from a Jewish background herself, so this was something that was personal for her. And in terms of her detractor, I think he was somebody who was, looking to make a name for himself as much as anything, by stirring up a controversy sort of artificially, and like I said, making very spurious claims to say, oh yes, this is what I believe, and this is why it's true, and so on and so forth. Now, the one criticism I had of the movie is that it's a little bit clinical in its approach. Now, I understand that because the case had to be proven on the basis of forensics rather than emotion, that was probably something that would figure into the story. But given the volatile nature of the subject matter, I didn't quite feel as drawn into the story as I might have otherwise. Now, there is one sequence where the professor and her legal team do make a visit to Auschwitz to gather evidence to help bolster their case, and that sequence was really very moving. But beyond that, as I say, it's a little bit on the clinical side. It's still a good movie. It's got some wonderful performances in it. Rachel Weisz, Timothy Spall, and Tom Wilkinson in the leads. They're terrific.
Yeah. Ryan, did you see that movie?
No, I did not yet.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead, Brent.
No, I was just going to say, are there any, there must be any faith themes connection, faith connections. Are there any religious connections, in that movie? How is faith treated there?
It's, I won't say it's ignored, but it's not a really strong theme in the movie.
Okay.
Yeah. Because you have Catholics, you have homosexuals, you have, there's a whole bunch of other major groups that were targeted during the Holocaust.
True.
Last week, I had Felice Cohen was on, and she wrote a book called What Papa Told Me, and it's a true story of her 94-year-old grandfather who was in 8 of the camps as a laborer. So it's pretty, you can read a true story, another true story of the Holocaust. But interesting, very interesting.
Does the world of the film work like the real world?
In what respect?
This is a true story.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So it does.
Yeah. Okay.
Like it would break, I think.
Yeah. So what's our next movie? You would say, what would you give it on the tomato meter here?
I would give it probably about 7.
Okay.
7 out of 10.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool. So it's worth going. Yeah. Well, we're at break. That one got me by surprise.
It's a great tool and a great way to do business in today's social media-driven world. And Carol McManus is the LinkedIn Lady with the LinkedIn Lady Show, Tuesday and Wednesday afternoons at 4 p.m. Eastern on allbusinessradionetwork.com. The LinkedIn Lady Show is designed to inform, inspire, and educate businesses. Every social media site has a specific demographic, personality, and purpose. And the LinkedIn Lady will interview a variety of guests, such as business owners who can showcase their business and talk about how they use social media, such as Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Google+, Pinterest, and of course, LinkedIn. For more on Carol and the show, check out her website, LinkedInLady.com. As trends change and new applications become available, the LinkedIn Lady Show will bring that information to you in an easy-to-use, fun, and engaging way. Every Tuesday and Wednesday afternoons at 4 p.m. Eastern, it's the LinkedIn Lady Show with Carol McManus on allbusinessradionetwork.com.
Reaching out from the heartland of the United States with quality programming, this is TogiNet Radio.
It's Marching Neighborhood.
Whenever we hear a recording of our own voice, it always sounds different than we think. This is because the bones in our skull create a resonance from within that makes our voice sound deeper to us. But our recorded voice is how others hear us. I'm sure I'm not the first person who has uttered the words, "I really don't sound like that." Do I? Margaret Thatcher famously underwent vocal training to lower her voice and make her sound more statesmanlike.
Recently, British Airways polled Americans and Britons to see who they believed had the sexiest voices. Morgan Freeman was voted number 1. If a judge loves the sound of his own voice, expect a long sentence. What's a word for a person who loves to hear the sound of their own voice? A philodox.
It's words you never heard.
I'm Carolyn Davidson, and you can have fun challenging your words you never heard vocabulary with my free app, Too Funny for Words.
It's Frankie Sense and More, and the gang's all here. We're here with Brent and Ryan and Fred. So Brent is taking us to the movies, and he just told us that the Chicago Film Festival ended today, and he saw 12 movies in 10 days, which is very exciting. I can't wait to hear about all the movies. But next up, we are going to Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar something.
Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. Yes, the latest release from director Tim Burton, who is known for doing wild, outlandish visuals and crazy stories in movies like Alice in Wonderland and Big Fish. This one is a story about a teenager who unwittingly gets drawn into investigating the mysterious death of his grandfather, and ends up being catapulted across time through a series of adventures involving unusual children with unusual gifts, going through alternate dimensions and facing strange villains, and it's just a wild, fun romp all the way around. It's not necessarily something I'd recommend for younger, more sensitive viewers, because some of the characters in it are a bit on the macabre side at times. But it's also very funny. It's also got a lot of great special effects and visuals, and certainly something for people who want something a little bit out of the ordinary.
Yeah. How did it make you feel? How did the movie, at the end?
Oh, I felt, very, very uplifted by it, and the fact that you end up coming away from it saying it's a movie that celebrates, taking charge and claim of your own power. Especially if you find that you're somebody who's maybe a little bit unusual or peculiar, as they call in the movie, and not being afraid to celebrate your own character.
Right. And to what extent did it fit? Well, okay. To what extent did it fit your expectations?
Well, I always have a lot of interesting expectations going in to see Tim Burton's movies because they're so creative. This one was a little bit. There were some spots where it dragged a little bit. The story seemed to get maybe a little more complicated than it needed to. But overall, I would say that it's a fun visual romp, and lots of really funny lines in it, particularly by Samuel L. Jackson, who plays the principal villain in the movie. He's just hysterical in some of the scenes in this.
So Robert Redford's in this movie?
No, Samuel L. Jackson.
Okay, but no. Tim Burton's ex, Helena Bonham Carter, she's not in it.
Yeah, she's in it.
Oh, was she in it?
No,
okay.
sorry,
It wouldn't be a movie without her in it.
I'm sorry, no, she's not in this one.
No, I thought that's probably the first one.
Without giving away the ending, I mean, is it the type of ending where everything is resolved, or is it an ending that surprised you?
I wouldn't say it necessarily surprised me. Things do get resolved, but it also, I think, leaves things open for a sequel, too, possibly.
Okay.
Right, yeah. Okay, next movie.
Next movie is a little-known gem that I just recently discovered on DVD. It's a movie called Anesthesia. And this is a movie that's done sort of in the same tradition of movies like Crash or Disconnect or Grand Canyon, where you have a series of seemingly disparate stories that end up getting interwoven together. In this particular case, it focuses on a popular New York philosophy professor who's on the verge of retirement, and a number of people in his life or in his circle, or who are not initially in his circle but get drawn into it through their various interconnections. And he has a very positive outlook on life after many years of soul searching and dealing with the difficulties of urban living. But he's come to have a very very philosophical outlook on life, and he's dealing with a number of other characters who are facing difficulties of their own and essentially are looking to anesthetize themselves in one way or another, be it with drugs or with drinking or with escape into different forms of ways of trying to convince themselves that they're alive even. And they all end up in one way or another coming into contact with a professor who helps to, set them on a different path of themselves. And it's really a surprisingly interesting, little-known movie that I was a little bit surprised it didn't get more recognition than it did. But I think
you know what?
It's definitely...
I looked at Rotten Tomatoes, and they gave it a 4.9.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it wasn't well liked, but you know what? You and I kind of like the same kind of movies. But I wanted to ask Ryan. Ryan, have you thought about going to the movies as far as, getting them on board with your Gifluence?
Yeah, so we would love to. We actually have Fandango right now so anytime you are booking a ticket through Fandango, I believe they give a flat rate of 7 cents per ticket. Nice. If you go, you said that you go to about 2 a weekend. That can add up over time to some meaningful donations.
Yeah, it'd be nice though if you could get like a Cineplex or somebody, like every moviegoer, everywhere in the country.
Yeah, that would be great. That's always something for us to look towards.
Maybe with Atom. Do you have Atom in the States? ATOM?
Not in Chicago that I know of, but maybe.
Okay. It's an app that we have here in Canada, and like you can pre-order your movie and your treats and whatever, and so by the time you get there, it's all put aside for you and ready to go in. And
oh, got it.
Yeah, so that'd be fun.
I'm gonna use that.
You have it? I love it.
Oh, I'm gonna Adam. Okay.
Adam, yeah. Okay, Brent.
So as you mentioned, one of the things I've been occupied with for the past 2 weeks has been attending the Chicago Film Festival.
Yeah.
Which is just wrapping up today. It's a wonderful program. They feature over 140 movies, feature-length movies, in different genres, from comedy to documentaries to drama and so forth. And it's a wonderful event to get to see some things that might not necessarily make it into the public otherwise. One of the purposes of having a program like this for the people who are the backers is they come and try to shop their films for distributors if they don't already have one. Some of them come away very successful. Others, unfortunately, don't. But it gives viewers, at least in the meantime, a chance to see pictures that they might not otherwise see.
What was your favorite one?
My favorite one was The Teacher, which is a movie that was a co-production from Slovakia and the Czech Republic. It's a story about a grade school teacher who's also a low-level Communist Party member in Czechoslovakia in the early 80s, and how she uses her position of authority to get her way by essentially intimidating her students and her parents, saying, if you want your kid to get good grades, you'll, get me free cakes this weekend or something like that. And she's very, very conniving and very manipulative in terms of the way she goes about it. But the one thing that she doesn't bank on is that the students and the parents ending up talking to one another about it. So she ends up getting confronted by the people who are angry at her for trying to manipulate things like this. And it's an interesting story about people taking back their sense of personal power, even under very oppressive circumstances, and even under people who try to really manipulate things to their own benefit in a self-serving way.
How so? I mean, taking the power against oppressive circumstances.
Well, like this.
Well, I mean, the party in Czechoslovakia and all the Iron Curtain countries at that time, they really had kind of an iron fist over the people, and people were very afraid to speak up. They were afraid to express themselves. It was easier to kind of like put your head down and not complain. But in this case, they didn't. They decided to say, hey, this is not right. We need to do something about this.
You're really fortunate to get, Toronto Film Festival, I'm sure we'll get these same kind of movies, but you always get the movies in your regular movie theater before I do. And so it's always like, I got to go see that movie now. Brent just saw it. So good. He's ahead of me. I always feel jealous of you.
It's interesting when you live in a big city like this, you get a little bit of a skewed perspective too, because not only did they come here earlier, but they also leave sooner as well. And, when I start talking about something that may be brand new someplace else, it may have come and gone from here already. So...
Yeah, but we'll get the teacher, and it'll be, well, I'm not in Toronto, I'm outside, so we'll get the teacher, but it'll come to an obscure movie theater, and it'll play at 10 o'clock at night or something, at a time you don't want to go, and so it's always, you get them, but you don't get them, like they're not convenient, But,
it's interesting from years of attending. You're fortunate somewhat in Canada in the fact that I think your distributors up there are a little more open-minded than in the States. When I've gone to the,
we'll get more foreign film probably.
Yeah, I think when I've gone to the festival in past years and I've seen some things, and a lot of questions that usually comes up with the Q&A sessions at the end is this going to be distributed in the U.S.? And a lot of the directors and producers will end up saying, unfortunately, no, we're not. We've been picked up in, say, 40 other countries in Europe and Canada and, the Far East and so forth, but not in the States. And
because they won't sit and read a movie. Unfortunately, they just won't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sad.
And
very sad because they miss out on such great movies. Well, we've got 2 minutes left on the show, and I want to make sure that Ryan gets his information out first, and then we'll come back to Brent. So, Ryan, first of all, thank you for coming on the show. Gifluence is a wonderful idea and, just brilliant. Can you give everybody your web address?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys for having me. And if you guys want to learn more, go to giftfluence.com, www.giftfluence.com.
Awesome. It's a wonderful idea, and I'm definitely going to download your tool, and start using the search engine so that money can go to the charities of my choice, and I like that I get to choose where my money goes. Yeah. Do they get tax write-offs for that?
No. So the individual does not get tax write-offs.
Not the individual, but I'm wondering if the store does.
No. So actually right now the way that the revenue flows is it flows through us and then to the charity. So we actually get the write-off. Nice. Good. You deserve it.
We got 1 minute left in the show. Brent, as usual, thank you so much for coming on. You are always so welcome, and we just love to hear about the entertainment that's out there for us. And Fred as well, thank you for co-hosting the show today. And Karina, thank you for producing the show today. So thank yous all around. Any last minute words, anybody? Ryan, we'll give it to you.
No, just use giftfluence.com and our shopping platform. With the holidays coming up, you can really make an impact on a lot of people's lives.
Perfect. Thank you. I guess we're out of time. Awesome. Again, we'll see you next week, everybody. Take care wherever you are in the world. We love you, and we'll be back in soon.
Take care. Bye-bye.
See you on the beat. Hit Rash Production.
Alrighty, thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. How did you like it? How did you like it? I just want to say a quick thank you to everybody out there. And also everybody who contributes to our Patreon page. You are really helpful to this show, and we are grateful for your help. In case you're wondering, Patreon is a simple way for you to contribute to the podcast and get super cool exclusive rewards in return. I promise you will love the perks. Our Patreon page is at frederickbuy.com. That's Frederick with a C, buy.com. And click Patreon in the header. The money is used to cover our production costs and enhancements. It is also used to cover our editing time and sharing to different podcast channels. You can contribute for as low as $1, and you can even choose your platform, either Podbean or Patreon.com. See ya next time.